Okay, I am going to get started on this. Hey everybody, welcome. Tonight we're going to go over our review for our final exam, exam number 3. This is for VITI 303, from harvest to dormancy. For this review, it's actually going to be kind of short and sweet. We're only going to go through post-harvest vineyard practices and grapevine grafting for this review portion. This final exam will be cumulative. It'll cover everything you've learned in this class, including all of our labs. So for reference and review to that, I would say go back and check out the links for our previous exam reviews. We did an exam number 1 review and an exam number 2 review. Go through those. Also go through all of your previous exams and quizzes. Study that, and then you should be really prepared for the final, okay? And all of the content will be equally kind of dispersed and questioned. If you are in my winemaking class and you're taking the 308 exam this week, we talked about how the last portion was more of a focus on the final than the previous stuff. It's different for this class. It'll be an equal spread of all of the information that we learned in this class. So definitely go back and review those, and you should be in a really good spot. Also, we have our class party tomorrow night, Wednesday the 11th. For that, we are making tri-tip sliders with the chimichurri sauce for you guys. There will be a movie, and we'll also have non-alcoholic beverages for all of our under 21s, which is totally cool. We also might have wine for the 21 plus side of the class, which is exciting too, but we'll see how that plays out. We have not decided on a movie yet, and if you can't make it, that's okay. If you are planning on coming and you'd like to bring something, you're more than welcome to. Just send me an email and let me know what you're bringing for everybody. Okay, cool. So I think that covers everything I wanted to cover, except for I did want to say, if you have past quizzes or assignments that have not been turned in, there's a handful of you guys that still have some missing quizzes. Please take the time to go back and take them. Even if your grade says 0 on it, you should still be able to go back and take that quiz still. So they're open. I've left them open until the end of the semester. So there really should be no excuses for you not to get a good grade in this class. And if you're confused, you're having a hard time navigating Canvas, or you're not quite sure how to proceed, don't be shy. Please reach out to me. I'm more than happy to help you navigate that. I want you guys to be successful. I know it's been a long semester. A lot of crazy things happen in all of our lives, so just want to make sure you guys are set up for success. So, without further ado, we'll go ahead and we'll go through these 2 presentations, and we will move on with our evenings. So the first one is post-harvest vineyard practices. Let me go ahead and pull that up. Beautiful. Okay, so this covers everything that happens in the vineyard after harvest, right? And our disclaimer here was that some people will follow these practices, some people won't. Like owning a winery, making wine, having a vineyard, operating a vineyard are all very personal things. There's lots of different strategies and philosophies that line up with this, right? So just because these are some a side that I display in this class does not mean this is the only way to do it, right? And some people will feel very passionate about this. Some people say, I absolutely do not do that. And some people say, I absolutely do that. So just keeping an open mind is really important to this course, this whole program as well, right? Okay, so why do vineyards need care after harvest, right? They just ran this massive marathon, producing fruit, putting in all this work, and now they're depleted of nutrients and they're stressed, right? So we talked about post-harvest practices for irrigation, fertilization, pruning, and soil amendments. You can bet that there's going to be at least one question, if not more, on each of these components, right? So for post-harvest irrigation, just understanding and knowing these portions in bold are going to be very important. So helping relieve stress from vines, rejuvenating canopy and photosynthesis reactions, and also stimulating root growth. So this would be a fantastic select all that apply. Or I could potentially see myself writing a question for this of, please explain why vines are stressed and how irrigation can help them, right? So you could talk about UV, heat, pest damage, and how the vine becomes stressed, or being able to dive into these individually. Okay. Irrigation, how much did you apply, right? According to someone from UC Davis, 10% of your whole seasonal irrigation should be applied after harvest, or you could determine by soil moisture, field capacity, right? That would be a fantastic question right there. Okay, pros and cons. This could be a fantastic question too, asking you to compare and contrast the pros and cons of irrigation post-harvest. Very important. Also, I believe we did have a question about this on the quiz about using petiole, leaf tissue, soil, and visual assessment to determine the nutrient additions that your vines are going to need. Another good point to little nuance you should know is that if we're going to be irrigating vines or applying nutrients, the vines still need to be alive and active. If the vines have already gone dormant, then it's not going to help you at all, because you're just going to be applying all this stuff and the vines aren't going to be able to soak it up, right? Okay, soil amendments can happen, right? Helps to improve the chemical, physical, biological properties. Sulfur, gypsum, compost, lime are great applications, right? Okay, dormancy and pruning. This is a big part of the work after harvest that, you know, some wineries will have vineyard workers that are around year-round. Boger is one of those wineries, and that's because there's so many acres to work with that to get through it all, by the time they go through it once, it's time for them to cycle through and go through it again with the next step. Pruning is one of those things. Leaf pulling during the fall is one of those things. And even harvest, too. So, with all the pruning and everything, when you prune really depends on where you are, your growing season, your dormant season, but also when you plan to harvest again, what your winter looks like, you know, the variety you're working with, your labor availability and costs, production goal, and also disease pressure, right? Double pruning is a very common approach to pruning. It makes the work less strenuous. It may seem counterintuitive to go through the vineyard twice. Why not just do it once the first time? Double pruning helps prevent disease in vineyards and helps make the work less strenuous overall, right? So if you go through and you prune too early and then you have open wounds on the vine, that's a really great opportunity for diseases to get in there and become a big problem for you, right? Okay, pruning. I definitely want you guys to be able to compare and contrast risk of pruning too early and too late, right? And also I want you guys to be able to talk about sap flow. You know, what is sap flow? What's happening in the vine when that happens, right? Okay. Pruning. Definitely know the difference between spur pruning and K pruning and the benefits of each one. This would be fantastic questions. I could put on a picture and ask you if the vine was cane pruned or spur pruned. So how you would know is what you're looking at right here is spur pruning, right? There's 2 cordons and we have these little spurs that are left over after pruning versus cane pruning looks a lot smoother, right? The whole cane is down and then you just have the buds on the cane versus spur pruning, you have those little nubs, those spurs left over. Perfect. Okay, cover crop planting. We talked about cover crop. We brought it up a handful of times in this course and why it's beneficial, what it does for the soil, the environment, the grapevines themselves, right? Green manuring is a great topic. It's a great vocabulary word that will be on the exam. Okay, next we have student learning objectives. So again, I do refer to these when I write the quizzes and the exam. So these are great to help you get yourself ready for the final too. Perfect. Okay, on to grapevine grafting. We were able to get a little bit of hands-on experience with this in our lab. For this presentation, for this part that would be represented on the exam, definitely focus on vocabulary words and how the grafting works, right? So the whole point of grafting is to combine two different plant material together. They retain both of their own separate identities and characteristics, but they work as one single organism, right? So for grapevines, we have to do this. This is necessary because of phylloxera, right? And phylloxera coincides nicely with Native American grapevines versus the top portion. We still need to be European to produce delicious fruit that becomes high quality wine, right? I would like you to understand that there are parts of the world that don't have grafted grapevines, and that's because phylloxera hasn't been introduced to the area yet, or the soil isn't habitat that phylloxera is just not very happy in, right? So definitely be able to recognize these regions and talk about just this main point of no, not every single grapevine in the world is grafted, right? Okay, we have some anatomy, which you guys did great on the quiz with that, so I think you guys will be good on the exam. We have some fantastic vocabulary words. These could be this could be a matching question, so definitely make sure you know that those different components. The vascular cambium. This could be a good short answer or multiple choice or even a true or false. The vascular cambium is really the defining factor of whether or not your graft is going to be successful, right? So that is the portion of the plant that is responsible for secondary growth, like the girth of the vine, but that is what's going to essentially fuse the two different plants together, right? So making sure that that's lining up is very, very important. Okay, benefits of grafting grapevines. This would be a great short answer. Definitely put a star on the slide. This could be an essay question, also known as a short answer, right? We don't write essays in this class. Thank goodness. Being able to prepare yourself for that. Cool. And this was just an example of how grafts are very effective. Things to consider when choosing a rootstock. This could be a select all that apply question, but definitely another slide to put a star on. It's important to know, resistance to soil-borne diseases, environmental tolerance, and then influence on the scion. All very important things for a rootstock. Okay, then we have types of grapevine grafting. For these, I would really focus on whether it's done in the vineyard or on a bench, and also be able to identify them based off of their picture, right? Okay, whip and tongue. Very good. Secure contact. V graft versus omega graft. Okay. T budding. And then field grafting. Yeah, so definitely make sure you know all of those, where they're done, what time of year they're done, right? So field grafts take place in the spring. Bench grafting normally happens in the winter, right? Perfect. Okay, and then another good thing to take away from this presentation is that even when you graft in a vineyard, or even when you buy grafts that have been done for you at a nursery, it's very rare to see a 100% success rate with these grafts. More often than not, you'll see a small percentage of these grafts fail, whether it was, you know, it didn't take to the environment well, or for some other reason. So there's lots of monitoring and management that takes place once you plant these, or even once you make the graft, to make sure the plants are doing well, right? So each plant is its own individual. They all have, even if you use the same type of grafting technique, some of them might have matched better than others, some of them might have better contact. So lots of monitoring, and then you'll have to regraft the following season and try again. And then some folks just, if a graft fails, they just leave the vine as it is and just don't pick it, or pick it and just blend it in with everything else. So all important things to know. Okay. Student learning objectives, again, great reference for you guys to review the material and know that you're studying the right things. Okay. So, like I said, short and sweet. We're only about 16 minutes into this presentation. When we meet tomorrow for class, it would be a great opportunity to ask any questions that you might have, review any topics that you are fuzzy on. Again, I highly encourage you guys to go back and take any quizzes that you have missed. They're all open, so do yourself a favor and do that. And then starting next week on the 16th, it's finals week, so we have no class that week. And then your final will be posted on Wednesday the 18th. It'll be available from 8 a.m. to 11:59 p.m., aka right before midnight. And you'll have any time within that time to take the exam. You'll have 3 hours to take it. Should be plenty of time. So definitely take this time to catch up and position yourself to finish this exam on a good foot. Finish the course, right? Okay, well, that's everything I have for you guys tonight. Like I said, if you have any questions, send me an email. I'll be happy to chat. And wishing you guys a great wrap up for your semester. All right, I'll see you soon.